ladies and gentlemen, this is Deathedge Wrestling Corner. I hope you all had a happy 4th of July. Lord knows I did. Let's just get right into it. Impact Wrestling, I'm just going to go ahead and say I'm a little disappointed to say that tonight's show did not live up to my expectations. Don't get me wrong, it was okay. And to be fair, it started out and I thought it was about to get a whole lot worse, but it begins bouncing out with it by the start of the second hour, and it saved the show. At least in my opinion. So, okay. We start off with a previously on Impact recap, and I just want to go ahead and point out that if you were completely new to Impact tonight, it's a little misleading, because it makes it out like all that stuff that happened between Bully Ray and Joseph Park, it goes all the way back from the start of the feud. It makes it out like this all happened the very last episode of Impact, and of course that is not the case. It also went over the Dixie Carter stuff, and it barely touched upon Aries and Rude. And the second I saw that, I was like, oh no, this could be a crummy night. So then Bully Ray came out there, and he says that he has a big, huge announcement, and that announcement is, of course, that he's going live on Twitter. I couldn't even think of a more unimaginable announcement. Oh, and for the record, yes, Bully Ray did in fact trend worldwide later on in the show. So, he tells Joseph Park that Joseph does not tell Bully what to do. Bully tells Park what to do. So he demands Joseph Park comes out there, and of course, Joseph comes out there and begins giving us all a law lesson, tells us what a precedent is, and Bully Ray says that he can take his precedent and, well, shove it. And then that Bully says that he agrees to the match is going to be exactly like their match at Slammiversary. Anything goes, no holds barred, all weapons legal, etc., etc. And then Bully reveals that he has a restraining order against the Monster Abyss, as if that will stop Abyss. But of course, who knows? Maybe it will. Abyss will be sent to jail. Not that he's never went there before. He went to an insane asylum, if I recall, and got out pretty quickly. So, and of course, Bully Ray cheap shots Park and leaves the ring like a stereotypical bully would. So then it shows Hulk Hogan talking to Austin Aries about Option C a little bit, and that Aries has to give him the X Division title by the end of the night. And I'm sorry, but the whole time I was thinking, why didn't he do this last night? Or by the end of this segment, actually, because if he's going to give up the belt, just give it up. Don't draw it out any longer. And Hogan does say that Aries is going to be the one who must take them to the promised land at Destination X. No offense, I love Aries. I hope he wins, and I do think he could be a big player in TNA. But I don't think he's going to be that him and him alone can take TNA straight to the top. It's going to take a lot of work, Hogan, and you know it. So then, Tenay talks about how AJ is going to address Daniels' allegations. Oh boy. And we also see Dixie Carter, Al Snow, Pritchard, and them talking about gut check, but they try to talk to her about AJ and Claire. Dixie reveals that she has not talked to Claire since that night, and she cuts off the interview, cutting it very, very short. And of course, I think we went to a commercial. Well, no, we go to a commercial not too long after this, but we do have a television title match, the first one in a while, actually. I almost forgot that belt was defendable. Between Devon and Crimson. And it was a okay match, but it was only like 2 minutes. It was blatant filler, but it does have a purpose. But I should point out, I do actually like how they did it, because Crimson was trying real desperately to get a quick victory, and I like this because he's just coming off of his first loss, and Taz even mentions it'll be interesting to see how he reacts, and we see that Crimson's kind of getting desperate to get rolling again. But Devon wins very quickly, and then Madison Rayne comes out. And it looks like she's about to reveal that Devon's her crush, but guess who her crush is? Earl Hebner. Did you facepalm yet? Because I'd imagine you would be facepalming. I facepalmed when I saw it. What the heck is going on there? Why Earl Hebner? I'm sure TNA thinks this is going to be like a funny storyline, or because I'm sure they don't think it's going to be a serious romance, or at least I hope not. I don't even know where they're going to try to go with this. I mean, really? Is Madison supposed to be like the anti-Vicky Guerrero? She only digs older men? I'm not going to go into too deep of an analysis of this, because the angle did just start, and there's no real indication if... maybe she's just teasing Earl? I doubt it, though. Maybe she's just going to use Hebner to try to rig her matches. That's the only direction I can see this going in that would make any sense for me. And also, I'm probably going to end up looking up if Hebner is married or not. So then we cut the commercial, but after seeing Chris Sabin walking down to the ring, and he has crutches, by the way, and Sabin comes out there and begins talking about how it was his dream to be a wrestler, and how everyone's telling him that his career might be over and that he should contemplate retirement. So then, of course, Bobby Roode, the It Factor, makes his way to the ring. And Roode said it is so sad. Bleh. Well, yeah, he said it was sad to see Sabin wearing the knee brace. Never mind. I don't think he said it was sad. I'm sorry, my mind's kind of getting jumbled up. But I do remember he said it's pathetic. And, of course, he began bashing the X Division, saying they risk it all, and in the end, they come away with absolutely no reward. Hate to say it, but lately that seems to be true, with the exception of Aries, who's the last X Division champion who went on to do something major. And so then Roode knocked out a crutch, knocked one of Sabin's crutches out, and began attacking Sabin, stomping the leg. And then Aries came out there and made the save, of course. And then they note that the Tessmacher-Kim title match has been delayed 1 week. I don't know, I guess Brooke demands it. And tonight, Tessmacher and Kim will be competing in a tag match. So then we get the X Division qualifier. Dakota Darso, the son of Demolition Smash, and I believe also Repo Man. That's what I remember Darso for. At least I believe that was Darso. I don't want to think it was Bill Eddy. I used to get my Demolition members mixed up all the time, but I'm pretty sure I'm right here. But anyway... Oh, and I do know Darso was Hole in One. So, yeah. They note that Dakota is the son of Barry Darso. And at one point, Darso got busted open. Dakota was taking on Flip Casanova, who won after flipping off the top rope with like a shooting star press leg drop. It was awesome! And Casanova was bloody too. The match was pretty solid. Dakota looks more like a technical type wrestler with some high-flying capabilities. Flip was the fast-paced offensive guy. And I think, something that I think was kind of funny is I think Flip was waiting on Christy to come over and interview him. But they just sort of ignored him and went on to the back with Brooke Tessmacher and Gail Kim before they cut to commercial. I mean, Brooke Tessmacher and Tara talking about how Gail Kim's scared of her and stuff, but I think that was either Christy missing a cue, or TNA just doesn't think much of Flip and just said, he's just going to be that guy who's in the tournament to fill time. I hope that's not the truth, but And then when we come back, we relive Taylor Hendricks getting her contract last week, and she talks about how she's going to prove that she's tough and belongs there. So then we get the Knockouts tag team match, which went on a lot longer than it felt like it went longer than it really did, and it was kind of disappointing in all honesty. I think that if they just would have let Tara and Gail Kim go at it, it could have been a great match. Not to take away from Tessmacher or Madison, they're okay wrestlers, but Tara and Gail Kim are just well past their level. But ultimately, Tessmacher pinned Rain. I think she used that finisher of hers. And next week, we're going to have Gail Kim versus Miss Tessmacher. Then, of course, we go to commercial while AJ's walking out there. And we come back in with a little promo of Storm saying it's all about my family. I do this for my fam. And he's getting ready to take on Jeff Hardy, doing some push-ups. So then AJ comes out there and he's ticked. Because he's like, first, I was falsely accused of having an affair with the president of the company. And now he's being labeled the father of Claire's unborn baby. And he wants to know what Kazarian and Daniels' deal is. And Kazarian just says Styles doesn't get it, and that makes AJ get a little ticked off. And at one point, I do remember Kazarian called AJ a redneck, and AJ said that he's going to take his redneck hands and begins and choke him out with it. But Daniels, that's when he began going, AJ, no. And Daniels said he has proof. But of course, AJ said, told him to shut up. This year, AJ's going to shut his mouth once and for all. So then Hogan's asked about Destination X. And a guy comes in and gives Hogan a note with, someone I was watching it with said it was the dead man's hand. I don't know if that's true or not, but it was like an 8 and an ace. And it said next week. And it's implied that's from the same group that took out Sting. So that will be interesting to see whether they hold true to their word next week and do whatever they're talking about here. So then Jeff Hardy talked about wanting to win the Bound for Glory series, saying he's worked hard and, you know, the typical Jeff Hardy promo as of late. So then, in another X Division qualifier match, Kenny King versus Lars Only. Again, it was rather slow-paced. And there was nothing really overly impressive about it. Kenny King did look pretty dang good, though. And Kenny King won by using a... They're saying it was a back... I've been hearing that was a backbreaker into a DDT, but to me it looked like a Samoan drop turned into like a rock bottom or something. It did not look like a backbreaker to me. I might be wrong, but it just did not look like a backbreaker in any way, shape, or form to me. So King qualified for Destination X. And then Hemi begins interviewing King, and King cuts by far the best promo out of any of the guys who's been interviewed after their qualifying match. Basically, at one point he calls Christy Hemi a pretty lady, and he says he's here to be noticed. And he sounded real slick talking. He sounded like he's the most natural on the mic. So right now, King is the guy I hope wins Destination X. So then we finally get what we've all been waiting for, the Jeff Hardy-James Storm match. And this is when the show really finally started to get better from the somewhat crummy start. And then we begin seeing an Austin Aries training video where he's talking about how when he started out in the business he weighed 150 pounds and he learned about vitamins, workouts, calcium, etc., etc. And it was a pretty nice little promo. And then backstage, Aries congratulates Kenny King, and Aries does say that he's going to surrender the X Division title tonight, while Kenny King says that he wants to follow in Austin's footsteps. So then finally, we get the BFG standings, and by the way, how did Magnus get all the way up to second? I mean, tied for third. By the end of this match, after Jeff wins, he won after avoiding the last call super kick and then hitting the twist of fate. Storm at one point did dodge a swanton bomb, so always nice to see someone miss their finisher, isn't it? But after that, showed the standings again, and it said that Hari was tied with Magnus. Did that happen at a house show, or has it been like that for a while now? Because that just seemed like out of nowhere to me. And Magnus shouldn't really be there anyway. And then they plugged the Samoa Joe versus Kurt Angle match at Destination X. I didn't hear a segue into that segment either. They just showed a little segment that showed a little bit of the history Joe and Angle have. And it just came out of nowhere. I thought I had missed something, and I'm assuming I did because TNA does tend to be a little erratic, but that was out of nowhere. So then Hogan was headed out to the Impact Zone. You know, what you gonna do, brother, when I take airtime away from you, dude? Sorry. So then that's when they announced that Bound for Glory will be in Phoenix, Arizona, saying that they need to bring your air conditioning. Can't believe Taz said that. Taz is a goof. And then Angle talks about Mr. Anderson. They didn't bring up anything about Anderson's current history. Anderson and Angle's past history, which I found to be a little interesting. They also they actually do show all the matches that have been announced thus far next week. Anderson versus Angle, Bully Ray versus Joseph Park, and then Tess Matcher versus Gail Kim. So that sounds like it should be a solid show. I wonder if any of these matches will get postponed again. So then finally, Hogan makes his way out to the ring and he calls out Aries. But Bobby Roode comes out instead. And Roode ridicules Hogan for drinking Aries' Kool-Aid and buying into it, and that all Roode does is give the fans as well as the X Division false hope and false promises, and that Austin's blood will be on Hogan's hands after this Sunday. And that's when Aries comes out, and he says that he'll be the next World Heavyweight Champion. So then they begin teasing that Roode and Aries is going to brawl, but Roode pretends like he's going to leave, but then Roode tries to nail Aries with the title. But then Aries ducks and nails Roode with the X Division title. And the show ends with Aries holding both the World title and X Division title belts. And that's when the show ends. And again, good show. What started out bad, but it's gradually got better. Now, the one complaint that I do have is most of the matches tonight felt a little short, unnecessarily short, to be exact. In fact, the longest match was the James Storm Jeff Hardy one. And the only matches that seemed to get the proper time were the two X Division qualifying matches. The other matches were both just a little over 2 minutes from some of the sources that I've been looking at. And for the record, match times, I typically get sites that you can go to get match times. I tend not to care too much, but I was hoping that for another great show from TNA, because last week all their matches got a very good amount of time. And it feels like tonight was just a little bit of a step backwards, but at the same time, this is the last show before Destination X. And so it was just them trying to get the last couple minutes of build up and try to get more people to order the pay-per-view. And so I'll kind of understand that. Now, what I should point out, okay, this has been irking me for a while. Why does Austin have to give up the X Division title? Back in the early days of TNA, AJ Styles was a Triple Crown TNA champion, holding the Tag Team, X Division, and World Heavyweight belts. Why can't they let Aries do that now? In fact, I would think that if they really want to make Aries a fighting champion in the face of the company, they would give him both belts and maybe even have him defend both of them, or maybe go the route where Aries, has to give up the X Division title after he wins the world title. Sort of like how Warrior gave up the Intercontinental title after he beat Hogan for the WWF title. This makes me suspect that maybe Rude has a better chance of winning than I last expected, because when I really thought about it, it just makes me think that they want to go a guy who blew it route. I'm hoping I'm wrong, because I really want to see Aries become World Heavyweight Champion. Again, I think he does have all the tools to be the face of the company. Actually, I think that out of Ring of Honor guys, if he would have been a guy who went to WWE, he would have broke from the pack pretty quickly. The other thing, I'm glad that the one thing this show did do is that they didn't play up that pregnancy storyline too much. Unfortunately, I'm sure after Destination X that might change. But overall, the emphasis on tonight's show was put on the World Heavyweight title in the X Division title situation, which is good. You need to focus on your titles, especially your world title. The World Championship and the World Champion should always be the #1 focus of your program. WWE needs to learn this. TNA apparently knows it. Very well, by the way. So, yeah. Tonight's show, decent, not as good as last week, but definitely watchable, and I'm not turning my back on TNA anytime soon. So tonight, the shocker and flop of the night go to the same thing. Madison's Reigns crush is Earl Hebner? What? I did not see that coming, but I was hoping for maybe a more dramatic reveal instead of a mind-flipping reveal. But I'll give TNA credit. I did not see that coming. But again, it just makes me think of a Vince Russo-esque twist. And that is what I don't like. Why did you get rid of Russo and yet you still try to copy some of his weird shock value booking? Granted, it's not as full of shock value, but they still go back to it every now and then. And I understand that you have to have some shock value, but their shock value lately has just been going all over the place. And very often, it just ends up resulting in a stupid, contrived storyline. So, the match of the night. I know I should probably... I guess I have to say the James Storm Jeff Hardy match, but Kenny King and Lars only almost got it. It's just Lars got pwned a little bit too much. I wish they would have gave Lars a bit more offense. So, yeah. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, Friday, tomorrow, is a fun little news and opinion show. My first one since, well, obviously last week I didn't do a Tuesday show, which is the usual day, and this Tuesday was SmackDown. So, yeah, I hope you tune in. See you next time. And this is Deathedge signing off.